Hey everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of the Stash Report from the Stash Project. Today is January the 5th, 2018. We took a little time off for the holidays. Actually, I had filmed a video for this already. Went back with it, just wasn't happy with it, so we just went ahead and waited until this Friday. This past week, between New Year's and Thursday, Japan was effectively closed within its vendors and its manufacturers as far as the kit stuff goes, just because they're in their winter break. So they're back from that, although there was another national holiday on Monday. My kids just had yesterday off, or I would have had this video up earlier. It was too cold to go to school. I remember one time when I was a junior in high school, so anybody remembers 1994, and you lived in the northern part of the country, we had a week off of school because it was too cold. Although we were still working on an English project that year, so we still were doing schoolwork. We just weren't actually in school doing it. But be that as it may, they're going to lose one of their holidays here in March. They had a MLK Day, and then there's a teacher day that same week. So they're going to lose one of those two to make up Snow Day, even though technically it didn't actually snow. It was just really, really cold. Be back in the 50s. We happy with weather chat now? I don't know. Seems like I've been talking to people about the weather for like the last 2 or 3 days now. So hopefully you've managed to stay relatively warm with where you are. We have new kit announcements from Fujimi and Aoshima as far as March of 2017 go. And then, of course, we have all of the kits that came out right at the end of December before the first of the year. We have a couple of kits to talk about as far as new announcements. And we also, of course, have Revell of Germany's 2018 kit announcements. Those were done on New Year's Day, as is the normal. So we'll start there. So Revell of Germany, we were kind of wondering what this year would bring as we sort of debated it in some of the live forums that we did here, as well as other places online. They did a couple years of doing classic cars, where they did, they redid some of the what would be known as the Tamiya historic car series. They redid the Citroen 2CV and made a 2CV Charleston, which was a slightly later model year and top of the line trim 2CV. They made their Mini Cooper, which is a more base model, lower displacement engine version of the Mini Cooper. Then of course made a rally car out of that. And then another year they did the 68 Beetle and 70 Beetle Cabriolet. And then they did the Gen 1 Golf and Cabriolet and the Golf GTI. So we're going to touch back into that for 2018. They're going to modify, the stuff is already, all the stuff is always baked into the tooling, as it were. They're not going to modify the tooling, but they're going to issue a modified reissue of the GTI. This time representing a 1983 Pirelli edition. Somebody brought up a very humorous point to me. They bet that the tires are not branded Pirelli. Probably not. That would require new tire tooling, and I don't see that happening. But the kit will need like newer front and rear bumpers. It'll have the 4-eye grille, basically the grille with the I don't know if they're technically a second set of headlights or if those are driving lights in their purpose, but the twin headlight grille. That's a different rear bumper, different wheels, because the Pirelli edition has specific wheels, and then of course the decals for the Pirelli edition's wording. I'm really kind of curious, and I understand it's a U.S. thing, but I'm kind of curious why they never really did the snowflake wheels, because I think all Golf GTIs got those, but specifically for us America people here, of course, our GTIs only came with the snowflake wheels because we didn't get them until towards the end of the production run. So I always wish that set of wheels had been done by Revell of Germany. I think it would open up some more sales opportunities rather than having the weird reboxed rabbit kit that we got instead of the Golf GTI. So anyway, there's that. And then what said that the debate was, is it going to be historical or are they going to go modern? Because of course recently Porsche 918, BMW i8, you have the McLaren 570, the AMG GT, all of these 4 modern kits with that one sort of monkey wrench of the 934 turbo race car thrown in there. You know, it was either one side or the other. What were they going to do? Well, they went back to the classic cars this year. However, if you are a regular modeler, for lack of a better term, you're not going to be very happy about this. I know I couldn't care two whits less about this, but they're going to be doing large-scale kits this year. The only 124 scale kit coming out of Revell of Germany that is a Revell of Germany release and not just a reboxing of a Revell US kit. They're going to rebox like the 97 F-150. They're going to rebox one of the Vipers. I think it's the 03. You know, those are all kits that we couldn't care less about here on the show, and you shouldn't care less about as a builder, because you can go buy all of those kits on eBay for like $5. They're really, really common kits, and there's no sense, and they will be brought back over by certain hobby shops that carry the entire Hobbico line, including Revell of Germany captive imports, where you're going to get a $30 boxing of the 97 Ford F-150. They're going to do all these are 1/16th scale. They're going to do the Tip 1 cargo van, the Volkswagen cargo van. Not a surprise. People who have bought the 1/16th scale 23 passenger or 23 window van, the Samba bus, which is basically a blown up version of the 124 scale kit, had said there were parts in that kit that were not used to do the Samba bus, and it seemed like a cargo van was the only place else you would go with those. So that is coming out. So again, that's not a big shock. That's more of a modified tooling in of its own right. The new tools are a 1/16 scale Porsche 356 coupe, which is going to be a snap-tight kit. Yeah, you heard that right, a 1/16 scale snap-tight kit. And then they're also going to do a 1/16 scale 356 cabriolet. Now, that's going to be a skill level 4 glue kit. And according to Revell of Germany, they are significantly different in terms of their overall level of detail. The glue kit being a much higher detail, full detail kit. The snap-tight, not quite as much. I've seen a lot of people complaining, oh, why didn't they do 356 if they're going to do 356 Porsches, why didn't they do them in 124 scale? Actually, I saw somebody ask, why didn't they do it in 125th scale? And then you have to, of course, remember this is Revell of Germany. We're talking about nothing they do is in 125th scale unless it's a reboxed US kit. But why didn't they do it in 124 scale? Well, the simple answer to that is, of course, that the Fujimi kits still exist. Their 356, kit series hasn't been released recently. Not like the 85. We've seen a bunch of their enthusiast series Porsche kits either going to be reissued, which we'll tell you about in a second, or they have been reissued recently. It's very simple. If Revell Germany said, "Oh, hey, we're doing this new tool, 356 Cabriolet and 356 Roadster. These are going to be state of the art, blah blah blah. Screw those old Fujimi kits. They're from 1985 or whatever." First of all, they're still enthusiast series kits, which means they're still the best kits that Fujimi has ever done. Some of them fit together better than others, but detail-wise, everything, they're some of the best kits that were done. Period. I mean, there's still some, better than what 90% of current Fujimi kits. A lot of Aoshima stuff. You've really got to get into Tamiya territory before you start talking about Tamiya's kits being better, from an engineering standpoint. If you said, okay, we're going to do this, then Fujimi would go, all right, and they'd just reissue them all. And they're going to reissue it based on what they're reissuing. We talked about in the January video, they're reissuing the Enthusiast Series 635 M6 BMW. In February, they're going to reissue 4 of their Lamborghini Countach Enthusiast Series kits. In March, we'll tell you about specifics, but they're going to reissue a couple of their Porsche Enthusiast Series kits. They just this past, we're going to talk about it again in another second, in the December kits, reissued their Ferrari Dino, which is an Enthusiast Series kit. I know Ferrari Dino, not technically the same thing, but their Dino 246 GT, all they have to do is snap the fingers, and out comes a bunch of 356s, especially if they did them all, because there's something like 8 of them. And they'll all be priced at like $20, which is a good $10 underneath even the European price of a Revell of Germany kit, let alone the U.S. price of one. And they would come out sooner because they're reissues. And what would Revell be selling? People that really, 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 really like Porsche 356s to have 2 of them, or hate Fujimi kits because somehow Fujimis are foreign but Revell of Germany's are not. I've never understood that. There's a whole weird thing where Revell Germany kits get a pass on being foreign. But anyway, that's why the 1/16 scale. Is it interesting? Am I happy for you guys to build large scale? Of course. It'll be great to have some new large scale kits. That's always been the convention whenever Revell does something, like when they blew up what was it, a 2010 Shelby. There was no follow-ups to that. They didn't blow up the Camaro. They didn't blow up the Challenger. They reissued the 69 Camaro, the old monogram kit, granted that's 1/12 scale, as, the Fus car, but they didn't reissue any of the other older monogram 1/16 scale, 1/12 scale, 1/8 scale kits. So that's the other problem. It's like nobody can unify a large scale. You got 1/8, you got 1/12, you got 1/16. You have these you got brand new 1/16 scale tooling stuff, but the new Fiat 500 that Italy just did is 1/12 scale. There's just no. It's like you try to turn cars into military scale, where planes are in one of 4 main scales, tanks are in one of 3 main scales, and it gets confusing. And then you get the fights I see in one of the forums, well, not fights, but discussions I see in one of the forums I belong to that's mostly military guys, where it's always a complaint of why is this kit in this scale but not that scale, and this kit's being issued but it's in the wrong scale, and this really is the wrong scale, but I understand why they did the large scale, because they couldn't sell a 1/24 scale one, or at least not enough to make it viable. So, again, guys who like large scale, you're thrilled to get 3 new large scale kits, or 2 new and 1 modified, but understand the prices of what those are going to end up being. They're going to end up being like $80 model kits, but if you build large scale, you've got something new, and there hasn't been a new large scale kit since the Ford Mustang. So there's that. I'm not thrilled. I was really hoping to see something, maybe go back into the classics, with Hasegawa sort of stealing their ability to do a 2002 BMW. I thought maybe we get a 3.0 CSI or something like that, but we did not. We got large-scale Porsches. So there's that. Over into March of 2018, Fujimi is going to be reissuing several kits here. Nothing new. None of this a bunch of this is really not new, but nothing new. They're going to reissue their Mazda Familia 323, it's old Mitsuya tooling, little 2-door hatchback. They're going to do it in the 323 trim and the XG trim. The XG trim is like an aero package, much like the Daihatsu Mira and all those other kits that are, you can build a factory stock, or you can build it into this really wild 1980s aerodynamic car that, may or may not have a turbocharger kind of thing thrown into it. Excuse me. They're going to reissue their 4th Gen Honda Prelude kit. Yes, Fujimi did a 4th Gen Honda Prelude. Most people think of that as being an Aoshima kit, but Fujimi did do one. It represents a 2.2 VTEC. It is a snap-tight kit. They're going to issue a 3-box set that they're calling the Successive Skyline. This is going to have an R32, an R33, and an R34 all in one box. The R34 is a snap-tight kit because that's what their R34 tooling is. The R32 and R33 seem to just be they're basically their cheapest version of their curbside kits, based on what the box art is that people are showing with this description. Fujimi's GTRs all suffer the same sort of generic problem, which is they're based on a generic Nissan chassis, which is a rear-wheel drive and not an all-wheel drive, because Fujimi does a number of Skylines outside of the GTR series, so they needed a rear-wheel drive chassis, and they couldn't be bothered to tool both of those up, just one of them, so it is what it is. They're going to reissue their 1973 Porsche 911 RS. That is an Enthusiast Series kit. That was last seen not that long ago, probably about 2.5 years now, in the Circuit no Nami, the Circuit Wolf anime series. So this is going to get brought back in a more traditional boxing under the Real Sports line. Don't let that Real Sports thing confuse you. I don't know why they've decided to go away from boxing things as an Enthusiast Series. I guess because people would expect them to charge more. And that would... there's no sensible thing to it. Like, people would expect them to charge more, so they would have to charge more on other things. I don't understand the exact theory behind why everything is getting boxed into the Real Sports, but be that as it may, it's a $18 Enthusiast Series kit, so you really can't complain about it. Also, they're going to reissue their 1985 Porsche 911 Turbo. That also is an Enthusiast Series kit. That was just reissued, I want to say, like 3.5, 4 years ago, when they basically reissued the same slate of Enthusiast Series kits with the Dino getting a rerun and the portion of these two 911s getting a reissue and the Clintoshes all getting a reissue. It's been interesting to see what else they do with this in terms of other Enthusiast Series kits they may or may not add to this as 2018 goes on. And then they're going to do another reissue of their Porsche 911 RSR 2.1 Turbo. That is the new toolkit that they just did at the very end of last year that was done as a Circuit No Nami car and then was done as, or here just very recently, as the 24 Hours of Le Mans car from 1974. This is going to be reissued as the 1974 6 Hours of Watkins Glen car, which is another set of decals the Studio 27 has already done. This will be that car with the decals in it. So there is that. Over at Aoshima, you're going to get 3, or I should say 4 sets of 14-inch wheels. These are going to be the Mark III Super Shark Equipment Advan A3As. These are all, I believe, 5-lug 14-inch wheels with the tires we just saw basically out of this last 14-inch wheel set that just got reissued. Of course, not the great big gumball tires and the 4-lug wheels, but it's not a very low-profile tire for the wheels, but it's what they came with, so it's what you get. The 2-model car lineup is getting 2 more entries into it. One is a 2000 Toyota Aristo K-Brake VIP tuner in the Platinum Series, and then a reissue of the 2002 Nissan R34 GTR in the C West body package. And then over on the model car lineup, you're going to get 4 reissues. One is the 1989 RX-7 FC3S. This is kind of an interesting reissue because Aoshima did this as a late version and an early version. There's a few different details, taillights, front bumper, and things like that being the main differences. The kit that Tamiya does is an early version. So it would kind of, and I believe the most recent reissue, because I don't have any Aoshima RX-7s out of that 3rd gen series, but I believe the most recent reissue of the F3CS, or the FC3S, excuse me, was the early versions. The late version hasn't been out for a little while, and this is going to have left-hand drive, which is a very, very hard configuration to find this kit in at resale. There was like one boxing of it that way, and that was it. And it's never been reissued, at least that I can find. So having the left-hand drive ability or parts in this kit is a really, not a rare thing, but it hasn't been seen in a decade or more. Maybe not since this kit was originally done back in the early 1990s. So that's, like I said, an interesting ability to build a left-hand drive late series, which is something you could not do right now. They're going to reissue their 92 Toyota Celsior. We talked about this in the January issue. This was supposed to come out back in January, but there was some sort of conundrum with the tooling where they could not do the early version of the tooling. Don't know exactly why or what that is compared to the late version. I've looked at instruction sheets for both of them, and I can't tell a difference. So I don't know. I have an early version. I have a 1992 boxing of it as the New Trend USA, I think is what it is. So I'll look at the instructions when this kit comes out to see if it's any different from the kit I already have, because late version, it's a little bit different. I might pick one up for $15, but as it is, not interested. Basically, also a Celsior, which is the right-hand drive Japanese version, not the Lexus LS 400. But if the parts were close enough, I might I could grab one of those Aoshima Lexus kits pretty much any time I want to. They're not that hard to find. Then 2 reissues of some IME tooling. I can't honestly tell you that you should buy either one of these. I can't tell you shouldn't either, but I wouldn't. They're reissue of the 73 Beetle 1303S. This was most recently reissued by Italeri like last year. It's a god-awful kit. It's not a very good representation of the Beetle proportionally. It's an old motorized kit. It has the battery box built into the bottom of the chassis, so half of your chassis has, you can obviously fix this, but the chassis is also textured, so you can't fix it without it looking obvious. But the engraving is like an 1/8 of an inch deep, and the bottom of your chassis pan is a battery cover. So you have obviously a big rectangle of seam where the battery box goes onto the chassis. Why? I mean, they've owned this IMEI tooling now since IMEI went out of business, which has got to be 20 years ago now. Why they've never gone back and if nothing else, just molded that into the chassis so that it wasn't a separate piece. Nobody's motorizing this kit anymore. It just has the battery box. It doesn't come with contacts. Like there's nothing for the batteries to touch. It's just a box where the batteries go. Yeah, I don't know. And then they're going to reissue the 1966 Nissan Silvia 1600. This would be a really cool car to have a new toolkit done of. It's an old Silvia. It's an old, classic Japanese car. We're seeing so much classic Japanese stuff, out of Hasegawa and things like that. Why not just either go ahead and do something with this, or to fix it up a little bit, because it has the same sort of problem. Really shallow interior, battery box on the chassis, old motorized kit. If you look at the actual kit you get versus even pictures of the car, they don't look anything alike. I mean, there's vague resemblance, but it's like the cousin of it's like your fat, short, oblong cousin is impersonating you at a family reunion. People are going to be able to tell a difference. And I don't... This old IMEI tooling needs to just go. It is what needs to happen to it. I understand why it's free money. They bought it a long, long, long time ago. But there's just nothing there are no redeeming qualities about these models. They're old, they're ancient, and which are two separate things. I mean, like there's some old AMT tooling. We're all seeing a bunch of people build those things during this big rig truck build off thing that's going on YouTube and Facebook. Those are old kits, but they were really, really state of the art at the time. So to a certain extent, they've sort of carried over well to current day. They're not 2017 Revell, but they're not really old ancient tooling. This is old ancient tooling where it's just bad tooling to begin with, and now it's old on top of it. They're toys turned into model kits. And I'm really disappointed because I saw the Nissan Silvia pop up, and they're using a black and white picture of the real car, and I was like, oh, a new tooled Nissan Silvia from the 60s. This would be really, something. They're in this kick now where, they're for the moment sort of hit the pause button on the supercars, and they're focusing on JDM stuff. A new Nissan Silvia would be totally cool. More cool, I think, to a lot of people than basically a 5-door station wagon on a minivan chassis. Although, much love for the Pro Box, but still. And that's not where we're going to get there, unfortunately. So let's talk about a few other new tool things that are going to be coming along here that I have pictures of to show because it would just be easier to explain it to you. One of which is this, which is the next version of the ICM Model T. This is going to be done as a 1913 Speedster. This got actually a better reaction than I thought it would. On a forum I posted it to, just to presenting it out there to people. A lot of people were already thinking about cutting down the touring car chassis and body to try to make a 2-door Speedster. This is sort of the ubiquitous first hot rod, as it were, because obviously these things were very plentiful, like after World War I, and were sort of the first cars that were drag raced and hot rodded back in the day. So I know a lot of these will end up not being a factory stock Model T, but this is based off of the existing ICM Model T, so it is a full detail kit, comes with an engine and all that sort of thing. They did not, at least from the test shots, gold/bronze plate their brass plate the stuff that's supposed to be brass plated, which is probably a better thing. You can get a much better finish using like an all-clad or a AK true metal colors or something like that than the weird goldish clear-coated thing that they were doing with their other ones. I still have the most interest in the light delivery truck than I do in this, but it's good to see them continue to make 1/24 scale kits. Always gives you hope that they will blow up a couple of those 1/35 scale Mercedes and Packards and things like that. So in the meantime, they're working with this. The other new tool kit that you may have heard of, and it did get announced with the Revell of Germany stuff, but this is going to be a Revell US kit. And the beans have gotten spilled on this a little early because Revell US still has not confirmed this exists. They're playing like la 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 la, can't hear you. Is this, which is going to be a new tool. It is not going to be based on or based much on the build and play kit. know that the build and play kit is being reissued in Revell of Germany, or as a Revell of Germany kit to European customers. This kit is also going to be reboxed into Revell of Germany for sales in Europe, but it's going to be a Revell USA tooling. Allegedly, we should get it first. I'm expecting Corvette C7R tooling here. This is what I'm expecting with this. It's being sold as a skill level 3 kit in Europe, which would make it less than 100 parts. They don't have a pre-paint thing like we do here, so it's kind of hard to tell if it'll be pre-painted or not. Would not shock me necessarily, being it's a tricolor, but if it's not pre-painted, Gravity Colors hook you up with the paint. One of the interesting things I found about this is in the display images of this, they're showing the number 66 car. Not only is that not the car that won the 2016 GTE class in the 24 Hours of Le Mans, it is not even a podiuming car at the 2016 24 Hours of Le Mans. It was the number 68 car, then there's a Ferrari 48 GTE stuck in there, and then the other two Fords. This car was 4th place, 1 lap down from the winning car. So it is literally the worst performing Ford. The fact that it's the one that Revell is choosing to use to describe this kit says all you need to know about at least Revell's internal marketing department, because you have to go look for pictures of this car. If you just put like Ford GT Le Mans Racer into Google, you'll find a picture of that car eventually, but it's not the pictures that are the most relevant. They're all of the number 68 car, which is the winning car. Now, they may do the liveries for all 3 cars, because all 3 cars were effectively identical, very minor associate sponsorship decals, mostly driver names being the big differences, but I just find it funny that they chose this image, and this image, by the way, is stolen from another website because I found out, I tracked it down to where it was supposed to. So it's not even an original image, nor is it property of Ford. So good going there, Revell. Somebody keeps commenting about Revell's financial situation via Habico's ESOP issues. This is true. We talked about it in the last video. At least I think we did, or if we didn't, I talked about it in the video of this. I did not film. Basically, the long story short, if I've already explained this, is you guys, and I talked about this last year when it occurred, Habico sold itself to its employees through an employee stock ownership program. That's what an ESOP is, if you're not financially inclined. And basically, the deal was, after you worked there so many years, you were vested, similar to like a 401k, but not a retirement plan. And if you left, you had X number of time after you left to then either come back or they would pay off your employee stock ownership program. And there's a couple of employees, long-term employees, people worked there 10, 15 years, that when their time up, I think it was you'd be separated for 2 years. Time came up, Revell, or Habico, not Revell, Habico did not pay their employee stock ownership program. And it was about 75 grand between the 2 people, and they didn't pay it. They didn't pay it. And now the Department of Labor is involved. And for the past year, almost literally a year now, Revell has been under investigation by the federal government for why it is they couldn't cough up. I keep saying Revell. Habico is under investigation of why they couldn't pay for this employee stock ownership program. If you haven't figured it out, it's illegal to not follow the ESOP program guidelines, especially when you're the person holding the money. So the question, of course, then becomes, where did the $75,000 go to if they can't afford to pay this back? I mean, this is supposed to be held in trust, basically, right? It's giving the company liquidity by selling itself, but at the same time, the purpose of that is not to spend it all. You need to have the ability to pay it back. And they have not. And, of course, the big news right here before Christmas was that when Revell or Habico was reevaluated, because in order to have an ESOP, the stock has to be worth something. The company has to be valued, right? If I say I'm going to sell you 100 shares of the Stash Project, and each of these shares is going to be worth $1, you own. It would depend, of course, on how many shares exist in the first place, but you would own 70% or so much of the Stash Project. And then every year we would have to go through the Stash Project and look at what we did, how much money we didn't make, because we're not making any money, obviously, but how much money we made, how much expenses were, all this stuff, and what is the value of the brands, Revell, was it Axles or whatever the RC company is, Estes, the rocket stuff, and all. What are all these components? Because they own Tower Hobbies, Great Plains, the two major distributors. What are the value of these names and all the stuff? And well, now 2018, the staff project is worth $5 a share, and look how much your money is worth more. Well, the exact opposite is what has happened over at Habaco. Their value of their stock is 82% less than what it was when this all started last year. So that, of course, does bring the question of how much longer Habaco can maintain itself as an entity, because the thing that will happen most likely after this, because the employees that were waiting on this money to do things like casual things like buy houses and stupid things like that, are not getting to the point where they figure they aren't going to see any money at all, because there's lawyers involved and they got to get paid, and how much of this this one woman in the article. This article, by the way, is available just by searching, just Google Habaco ESOP investigation, and there's an article in the Champaign, Illinois newspaper from December 22nd of 2017, so this is like 10-15 days ago, about this, and she's basically saying that it was worth $27,000, now it's worth $5,000, and she doesn't expect to see any of it at all. So where did the money go? Why can't Habaco pay back this what is a relatively piddly amount of money? The Revell as an entity is worth $8 to $12 million, basically. For once, Revell's problems are not its own; they're the ownership's problems. But it would be a real shame to see Revell sort of, evaporate, for lack of a better term, due to the people that own Habaco being crooks. That's maybe a little too harsh, but when you can't pay back money you owe, and you have to have the federal government step in, and you still don't pay back the money you owe, there's something shady going on there. That's just shady. It's just shady. There's no other way to go around it. The federal government doesn't come and investigate people on a regular basis just for random stuff. And you could owe, if you owed $75,000 on your taxes, they might show up, but not just because you owed $500 on your taxes. $75,000 on your taxes is a lot of money for most people. It's more than most people make in a year. But like you owed $500 on your taxes. I sent you some nasty grams in the mail, threatened to seize a couple of things here and there, but they're not actually going to show up at your house and be there for a year. And for a company that is worth millions and millions of dollars, when you factor in all of the subsidiaries and stuff they owe, $27,000, it's even the $75,000 for both people. It's not that much. Just pay it off and just be done with it. I don't understand the reason why this has not been taken care of. If nothing ever comes of this, because what I fear happening is that Habaco is going to get fined into the fourth dimension by the federal government for not paying this out. If they can't pay this little bit of money out to these two people, how are they going to pay a federal government fine? They're going to go bankrupt. And Revell is going to get sold to whoever happens to have the most money at the time. I'm saying, come on, guys, let's get together our extra thin Tamiya. This is like like a $9 bottle. We'll all just chip in a bunch of glue and we'll buy Revell. But it seems like nobody can own Revell for more than about 8 years without going bankrupt. And again, this isn't Revell's fault this time. It wasn't Revell's fault the last time either, really. But it's unfortunate that this is happening, because even if they don't get fined, even if something comes out that they don't owe these people the money, which is dubious at best, but even if that would happen, it just doesn't look good. It is the worst publicity, because what do people who build model cars love to do? Go to any forum or Facebook. They love to speculate. Oh, geez, you don't need this. You don't need this kind of press. You just don't. Just pay these poor people the money they're owed, what they were originally owed, not what the current value is, and go about your day. And if they can't, then 2018 is going to be an interesting year in terms of what may or may not happen with Habaco as a whole, because there's really no reason that, based on what you publicly know, that they can't pay that little bit of money back. But anyway, enough of that nonsense for this video. We'll keep you up to date if Revell seems like they're going to go bankrupt. But it's not Revell's fault. Revell's actually made money this year. Just the parent company is about to go bankrupt. So a bunch of domestic releases for the month of December. A couple of things for January, or I should say one thing for January came in already. On the Revell side of things, we have the 2 kits that we were supposed to get in November, which were delayed back till now, and then there's 2 Revell of Germany releases. So starting off with the 1980 Jeep Honcho Ice Patrol. This, of course, just a straight-up reissue of the Jeep Honcho C10 kit that has been done over and over again. I think I've most recently seen in the Pink Poison version. This is going to be molded in white this time, despite the admonitions rather of Revell's website and the box itself. There are no chrome parts in this kit. I say we all mail Revell back our parts and demand they chrome plate them. But beyond that, there is no chrome in this. So know that if you were going to chrome anything about this, bumpers, grill, mirrors, wheels, anything, they're not, and you're going to have to do that yourself. It's through some form or fashion. Not that big a deal in 2018 with chrome plating services and Alclat and Spastics and Molotol and everything else like that. But of course, several of those require you to have an airbrush. So for the casual hobbyist who reads on the side that this has chrome parts in it, I would expect the amount and level of complaining to be relentless. Also in this kit that has come back for the first time, I believe, since 1978, is this 1977 Arctic Cat Libra snowmobile that's in this. This whole Ice Patrol shtick is from the 78 GMC pickup truck that Revell did back in the day. I don't know what happened to the pickup truck necessarily. I know that the GMC pickup truck in a certain sense still exists because that's what they put the plow truck on, but I think that the kit, if I'm not mistaken, in my mind's eye, is a step side, and of course the plow truck is a short bed, style line or whatever you would call a regular pickup bed in Chevy terminology. So it does have it is the original tooling they managed to find, I guess, of the snowmobile, and they've run that off with this kit. Beyond that, molded in white at least, not black like the last one was. But it's, hey, a reissue of an assemblage of part. Makes sense fiscally because, again, it's a kit that hasn't been around for a while with a little toy part. It's not a toy part, but, a little extra shtick thrown in there on the side that hasn't been seen in, 40 years. So there's that. Also, we got the modified reissue of the 85 Oldsmobile. This is either a 442 or an FE3X show car. Darth Vader, your car is ready. Huddle-a, huddle-a, huddle-a. New parts in this kit are mainly of interest, I think, to everybody will be the new grille, which has the vertical straight up and down teeth rather than the egg crate grille that came in the 83 Hearst. Of course, it has the different set of wheels and all the ground effects and everything to make the show car. You can, of course, build a relatively, it is a factory stop, but a relatively mild by comparison looking 85 Oldsmobile 442, which would allow you to, with a couple of Hearst Oldsmobiles, to build an 83 Hearst, an 84 Hearst, and now the 85 442, and have a little lineup of the specialty versions of the Cutlass G-body. Unfortunately, and this is something that's easily fixable depending on what you consider your scratch building skills or your parts box rating skills to be. They included the Hearst lightning rod shifter in this. They did not tool up a new shifter for this car. That may be prototypically correct technically for the show car, but it's not prototypically correct at all for the 442. So there's that little kerfuffle to look over. You may not care one way or the other what the shifter is, but, for the purists out there, not the right shifter for the 85. I was not planning to get this kit. I really was not. But the fact that you can build a 442 out of it does kind of inch my interest meter up above zero a little bit. It would definitely be a, Ollie's $8 kit or something like that. I can't see going out and spending full price on it. I have an 83 Hearst that I haven't touched beyond doing the kit review we did of it way back when. And I don't know. I'm intrigued enough to be interested, but not much past that. It's certainly not something I'm going to run out to anywhere, even Hobby Lobby, and pay for a full price for. So that would leave us with one kit from December that was an actual legitimate December release, and that is the reissue of the ZZ Top Eliminator. Nothing really to say here about this at all. Obviously, it's just a new box with an old kit inside. And that's pretty much it. It's molded in white. Actually, I believe it's molded in red. So there's that extra plus or minus, depending on how you feel about molded in color bodies. And, I guess, technically speaking, this, opens up ZZ Top's, 1980s music to younger people, maybe? Because they'll if they Google ZZ Top Eliminator, they're gonna of course find the 3 music videos that this car is inside of. Uh, kind of wish they'd done a different ZZ Top car. The guy owns several vehicles, not just this one. I understand it's a reissue, free money, and all that, but doing a Whiskey Runner or something else would have been a little bit more interesting, at least to my personal opinion. Then you have the round 2 kits for the month of December. There were 2 left. The ones came out earlier in the month. We covered them back before Christmas. And they are the reissue of the Lindbergh, because it's 1/20th scale, GMC Sonoma High Rider 4x4. And this is a 93. This is sort of an amalgamation of all 3 of the 93 Sonoma kits that were done by Lindbergh, crammed into one box. I don't believe it has all of the parts to build the Cyclone, but it does appear to have the Cyclone's engine at any rate. There are 2 sets of wheels. I also believe 2 sets of tires, because you do not have to build it in the jacked up 4x4 method. You could just build it as more of a conventional, off the dealer lot 4x4, because there was a Baja version of this kit, and that's why it has the sort of the super duper ground clearance suspension as well. The other round 2 kit that was coming out, uh, regularly speaking, because there's one other kit we're going to talk about real quick, but the expected release is this. It is the Tom Mongoose McEwen Wedge Dragster. As we talked about with this kit, it has a newly tooled 5-piece body. It has a modifications done to the tooling to allow the headers to exit underneath, either through the body like they normally would, or there are pieces to cover up those holes and have the headers clear out underneath the car, or say outside of the bodywork like the box art shows. If they would have put it being a retro deluxe and this, that, and the other thing, this is not a real dragster. It did not exist in real life. It is not something that existed previously within the AMT tooling line, even back in the day. This is just something done as a fantasy vehicle for the Hot Wheels, Mattel license that they have, which is fine. I have bear no grudge against that. But I think it's interesting they market this under the Legends of the Quarter Mile box art, when obviously Mr. McEwen is a legend of the Quarter Mile, but this car is not something that was ever driven because it didn't exist. So there's that. And then one thing that got reissued here right at the end of the month, and this is one of what is we've talked about this kit in the past, and this marketing scheme that they've done in the past. This is the Hippie Hemi Dragster. Now this was an Auto World store exclusive. You can only get it through Auto World Store or through Auto World Store's eBay arm. They do have an eBay account that sells this stuff. This is a 500-piece reissue, so very, very limited edition. And it is basically that original kit reissued with the original decals plus a whole bunch of bonus decals included. It's going to have M&H pad printed drag slicks, rubber tubing. They got the old 60s style narrow box that is all in vogue. I think the last time we saw one of those was the 63 Ford reissue. And it is molded for all of the people out there who love molded in color bodies. Molded in Rampaging Reptile Yellow Pearl. So a metallic yellow. Probably not going to be able to just do a naked build out of this, which for people who don't understand that term, that means just polishing the plastic. Because mostly the metallics like that have swirls in them just from the way the plastic flows. Every manufacturer does that. There's nothing that, round 2 did this wrong. It's just every metallic plastic usually swirls, or it has a very distinct mating line where the plastic touches each other on where the body goes. If you have a metallic car, most every metallic car has a big dark line right down the middle of the roof, or maybe diagonally across the roof, depending on how the plastic flowed into the molds. There's probably that, and it's not going to be, it's going to look bad because it's probably going to be a real dark color compared to the actual yellow pearl. But you might get lucky and get the one that's pretty decent and you can polish. Otherwise, you have to repaint it, I guess. So we're really plucking on the heartstrings of the nostalgia market when you start reissuing stuff like this. This is a new series that they're calling the Cat Collection. The whole Bud Anderson cat shtick. So that's going to take the place, if you will, of least what internally they're describing these very, very limited reissue stuff. We saw this not that long ago with another dragster, and there was a sand rail and all that stuff. The little dragster of the Volkswagen Beetle was done as an Auto World exclusive, so just a continuation of that, a little different branding to it. But if you find one at a decent price, like I said, Auto World has them, and they're selling them on eBay. Is where we got the picture from. Grab one now. Only 500 of them, globally speaking. There's not a lot of models, so grab it. Grab it while you can. That'll take us to Mobius. Mobius has a couple of limited reissue stuff coming out this month, or has come out recently. One of them is the Model King co-boxing of the 65 Plymouth Belvedere. This is Butch Leal's California Flash. This is a 3,000 piece run, I believe, if my information is correct. This picture was taken at my local hobby shop by myself for a change, and it's in hobby shops. Understand that Model King Mobius stuff is not carried at your big box stores, okay? This is not something you can wait till it shows up at Hobby Lobby, because it's not gonna. Well, first of all, Hobby Lobby doesn't carry Mobius stuff for the most part anyway, but they're really not going to carry this because it is only going to be sold through hobby shops and things like that. 3,000 pieces, not a lot to go around. This kit's been available for about a month and a half now, all told, because I forgot to mention it in the last video before Christmas. So it's been around for a little while. It does not have a roll cage or anything else like that in it, but technically speaking, this car was right before that ruling came through, so it's technically correct, at least for the configuration it's set up to be. If it interests you, again, like most Model King things, go grab one. A lot of the Model King reissue stuff, like this, were done in larger runs than they're doing now. Dave got stuck with a lot of those satellite drag cars that he did. This would have been the smarter first choice, but nobody consulted me. And so the runs are getting a little less and less each time he does one, just so he doesn't get stuck with product. And while we're on that idea of a very limited edition Model King thing, there is this. This just became available. It is a 65 Plymouth Satellite drag car done with the Golden Commandos drag team. Now, this is a 1,500-piece reissue. Basically, the only thing different is the decal sheet. The Golden Commandos themselves, when they travel around, for nostalgia drag stuff like that, they have a gift cart, if you will. They have a gift trailer, a gift shop trailer type of thing. They bought like a third or more of the run to take around with them. So a big chunk of it's already gone. They're going to try to distribute this worldwide, because this, as you might notice, has the Hobby Search logo on it, meaning that they're going to send this to Japan. If you find one of these, you go grab it right now, because there are going to be so few of these, and you know how hot nostalgia drag is right now. If you can find one, I'll go grab it. I know right now that Mark Twain Hobbies has it, which is a hobby shop out of Missouri. They sell on eBay. Model Roundup has it. Southern Motorsports Hobbies has it. For a fact, I know those three places do. I can't recommend any of those places over one or the other. I've never used any of them. I think I actually used Mark Twain through eBay, but I've never heard anybody have a bad thing to say about Jack over Model Roundup. So if you want one, again, grab it. Very limited edition, and it's going to sell a lot more, I would think, that rather than like the Hippie Hemi, because the Hippie Hemi is like a really out there 60s drag car. This is a legitimate drag car that I think a lot of people will be interested in. So buyer beware of high eBay prices. Go grab one while you can. Don't let it get to the secondary resale market. And that, guys, pretty much takes care of the domestic kits. Now, internationally, we had a whole bunch of stuff. We had... oh, wait, hang on. I almost forgot. I was just plowing along here. Let's step back to Revell for half a second. Revell reissued this, which is the Porsche 911 Turbo. They're saying it's a 1987. That's a fat lie. It's the 85 Porsche 911 124 scale monogram kit that came in the Monogram Exotic series back in the 1980s. This kit is unique in the sense that it represents a U.S. spec 85 Porsche 911 Turbo. There was a package done to our Porsche 911s in 1984 and 1985 specifically, that gave them a Euro appearance. The Porsche Turbo was still on the 930 chassis, which is an internal designation, granted, but we did not get the 930 here in the United States between 1981 and 1986. So this kit represents a naturally aspirated turbo look. I would not buy this kit particularly because this kit particularly is going to cost you like $28, $30. But this was reissued by Revell Monogram not that long ago, maybe 2 years ago, if that. They tended to sit on hobby shop shelves and not move, so you probably can go find one very easily, if not at your hobby shop on eBay. And then just go back through, and you can probably find the Monogram exotic kits for like $10, $15. The other Revell of Germany kit that also came in with the Revell stuff this month is this. This is the Porsche Diesel Junior 108 Tractor, the Snap-Tight kit from Revell of Germany. Brand new tooling, 78 pieces, so don't confuse this Snap-Tight with like Wheels of Fire Revell Snap-Tight where it's like 15 pieces. This is a full engine and everything like that. It's just a snap click, or easy click as they call it, kit. Now, a lot of people have noticed that this kit was on Revell's website and then it's gone. That is because this kit is going to get a U.S. reboxing in March. So if you can't find one, don't panic. They are going to rebox it in our regular box size box in March. Same kit, same parts, same pieces. Everything about it is identical. The only difference is I think it's $4 less. And when people were like, well, why did they pull it already? Why was it such a limited import? It's very simple. This kit is only selling for $26.95 from Revell of Germany. It's selling for $22.95 through Revell of the United States, which, you know, have your own internal debate about whether or not that's too much for a Snap-Tight kit. I don't want to hear about it anymore. But, you know, with that $4 difference, are they really going to, if they imported this kit like they import regular Revell of Germany kits, which is several thousand pieces worth, would they sell their own if everybody who wanted one ran out and grabbed it for $4 more? Probably not. So, you know, if you can find one you're really into this boxing, I know a lot of people hate Revell of Germany boxes because, you know, you open the end and you just pour everything out and you'll never use the box for anything again. It is available in the United States. There are U.S. vendors on eBay with them. Your local hobby shop may have gotten one or two of them in. But know that if you did not get one and you're still interested, it'll be out in a regular Revell box sometime this spring. March. So that, like I said, will take us overseas. So one of the first new toolkits we're going to talk about, now this has not been distributed universally yet. It's only available in China, in Hong Kong. But that's okay, because you don't want to pay the U.S. price for this kit in the first place. You don't want to pay the Japanese price for this kit. You want to go to hobbyeasy.com, go into the automotive section, and buy this through there. Aside from recommending the website for a great place to get, you know, Hong Kong-based, you know, Chinese kits like Meng and, you know, BMAX and things like that, and Hobby Design. Hobby Design stuff's a lot cheaper on Hobby Easy than it is through Hobby Link Japan and other places. Is the fact that the Meng stuff is really cheaper there. This kit is selling for like $35 there. It's selling for close to $50 at Hobby Link Japan, and the U.S. retail price on this kit is going to be $77 in the United States. And that is the 10th anniversary edition of the Jeep Rubicon Wrangler 2-door. A lot of griping online. Why was this a 4-door? Why wasn't it this? Why wasn't it that? Well, it is this. I mean, except the fact that this kit is a 2010, I believe, Jeep Wrangler. You know, it's already old anyway, and compared to not being a brand new car. I don't know what Meng's little obsession is with releasing these from the past cars. Maybe the licensing is a little less. You had a 2008 Jeep, or 2008 Ford F-350, and you had a 2000 and what is nominally a 2000 and I think 2 Hummer H1. It's got a bunch of different. That H1 has a bunch of different stuff going on with it, where it's not actually any, technically speaking, one single model year, because it's like the engine, and this transmission, and this interior were only available these years, but the barn doors are on the back were only available in different years, and never the twain shall meet. But most people really wouldn't care. So this is the same thing. I mean, it's a 2-door. Most people would rather have a 4-door. You know, I'll grab one eventually. I don't have one coming. It wasn't real high up on my priority list of stuff. It does not have an engine. It is curbside, so that's why it's about $10 less than the previous 2 kits from Meng. I think they're finding out that overall, that engine is not really, you know, worth the extra dollars as far as the kit sales are going. This kit is molded in the baby blue on the box art with a red interior. I know a lot of people are not, especially, are not liking the interior being red, but understand this is where the disconnect comes for me when discussing this sort of stuff. I know everybody wants to buy a model and they want to do their own thing to it. Don't you? I'll make it my own. Arg, arg, arg. Great, thanks. Fantastic to be you. But you understand that these kits are being, you know, done in a certain way. This is the 10th anniversary edition of this, which is not really the 10th anniversary edition of this. I think it's the 10th anniversary edition of the platform, but this is the 10th anniversary edition, whatever the hell it is, of this Wrangler. Okay, the car came in 3 colors for this specific trim. It came in blue, it came in black, it came in white. That's it. And all of them had red interiors. End of story. You may want to paint it purple with a pink interior. Couldn't care less what you do to your money. Your model is your money. But complaining about the fact that it's molded in this and molded in that, and why is it this ugly color combination and this, that, and the other thing, well, that's the way the car came. And if you want to build something that's not a 10th anniversary edition Wrangler, cool. I'll watch you build it. Live stream it. I'll stand there. I'll stand around and watch you build while I build something. But understand that, like, because we just had a thing recently where somebody was building one of the Tamiya R34 Z-Tune kits, and they want to build 3 of them. One's going to be blue, one's going to be green, one's going to be red. And I pointed out, well, you know, the car's only silver. Oh, well, you know, I put my own twist on it. Well, you know, the Z-Tune is kind of a very specific car. The Z-Tunes were done in 2002 when they bought 18 used R34 GTRs that all had less than 18,000 miles on them. And except for one of them that is midnight purple, the other 17 are all the very specific shade of silver that Nissan created for the Nismo Z-Tone. When you build cars that are like that, when it's a specific thing, and this is just me talking, you can disagree all you want to, but when you're building a specific thing, it's like building a race car. It is that thing, and you don't have a creative license to it. If you want to build a GTR that's Millennium Green Jade, we'll go grab one of the M-Spec or the V-Spec kits, or anything. But if you're going to build a Z-Tone, it's a Z-Tone. That's what it is. It's this thing. If you're going to buy this kit and don't like the fact it's a 10th anniversary edition, well, tough titty. It's a 10th anniversary edition. Could have made it a 4-door 2018? Could have, didn't, don't know what to tell you. It is this thing, and it is only in these colors. So suck up and deal with it. It has a functional chassis, in the sense that it's got metal springs. The Mitsubishi, this reminds me a lot of course, let's see, the Aoshima Crown Royal, Crown Athletes are like that, Crown Majesta, the Mitsubishi Pajero or Montero, depending on which way you want to build it. Tamiya has this. The Toyota Land Cruiser out of Tamiya had that. I want to say the Jeep Cherokee did, but I can't remember it. I've been in my Grand Cherokee kit for so long. But a number of kits have had this gimmick, as the Japanese call it, where the suspension is functional. There's a difference between that and like the Suzuki Jimny, which is a static suspension that you can modify to be different poses by gluing different suspension pieces into it. These are actual like functional suspensions, which is always fun trying to glue those together because the springs are forcing or back against the glue and all that stuff. But you know, it is what it is. Hard top, no soft top, and you know, the 3D, the interior itself and the roll bar stuff were 3D scans, so they should be pretty spot on. Be interested to see if it has a dealer logo on the back. If the Hummer H1 has a Louisville Hummer dealership tag on the back, but that's out if you're interested. And again, Hobby Easy is going to be the cheapest place to purchase that from. You've been forewarned if you decide to purchase it someplace else instead. There were 3 kits from Fujimi that came out this month, and they are 3 Ferrari reissues. One's a reissue, one's a long ago reissue, one's a combination reissue. So the combination reissue is this. Boxed is the 575 Maranello, but you can also build the 550 Maranello out of it as well. That's how you get up to the 100+ pieces in here. Usually it's about an 80-piece kit. It does have 2 sets of wheels, a couple of different interior options, and the front and rear fascias are different between the two. But basically, the body is similar enough that they ran the same tooling, just did the tweaks on it as far as the different front and rear ends go. So if you're interested in semi-modern Ferraris, there is that. The next kit is the Dino 246 GT Early Edition. This is an Enthusiast Series kit. That is why we have the 200 plus part count on this. This kit it's been a little while since they've reissued this. I don't think the Dino was part of the Circuit Wolf repackaging that was done. I know that the Daytona, the 365 GTB was, but I don't think the Dino was part of that. But again, Enthusiast Series kit if you're interested in that. And then the long ago reissue, this hasn't been out in like 8 years, I think, or maybe more, is the Ferrari 365 GTB Boxer Berlinetta. This would be the car that came after the Daytona, as the Boxer Berlinetta line continued. Fujima would later go on to make a 512 BB and a 512 BBI, the BBI being the fuel-injected version that came at the very end of the 512's run. That sort of begat the Ferrari Testarossa and the 512 TR and everything else. So it's a pretty decent kit, I gotta say. It's almost full detail. There's some engine issues as far as pulling the engine out, putting something else, but within the kit itself, you never notice. It's a Tamiya engine, if you will, where it is 75% there, and the 25% you couldn't tell was missing. So it's cool to have that back. I already bought one, so I don't need a new one, but it's certainly one of the things I would have grabbed if I hadn't had one, because, again, it's been a little while since it's been out, and it's been something that's been fairly high-priced on the resale market of itself. And then you have a couple of kits out of Hasegawa that came out at the end of the year. They are this, which is the Mazda Cosmo Sport. Same Mazda Cosmo Sport that they've done over and over again. This one comes with the 60s girl figure, so it's got a little 124 scale resin figure in there. Again, an Asian Japanese sculpting to the face. This young lady is not at a car show or trying to attend a go-go bar like the lady with the 2000 GT. She is much more conservative with her Burberry jacket and her leggings. Apparently she's a little more upper class with her Mazda Cosmo. But the figure is the only new thing about that kit. And then this, which is a modified reissue of like 5 extra pieces, makes the 1987 Suzuki Jimny JA71 JCU. Got some fantastic 1980s graphics on this. Check out that. That is just something else. Basically, the new parts here are a new grille and a new front bumper, which of course has new glass to go with the headlights and the fog lights. And I think there might be a different steering wheel involved as well. But basically, this is just another version of the Jimny tooling that started up last year. So this will be the third one of those. So that tooling may be sort of drifting off to sleep. And they'll start focusing on various reissues of the Civic throughout 2018 that just came out last month. And that is that. And that takes us over to BMAX. Now, BMAX had 2 kits out in December. They managed to get their last 2 of the year out. And they are a modified reissue of the 240 RS rally car, this time done for the 1984 Safari Rally. This is a Marlboro-sponsored vehicle in real life. However, they did not decide to actually include those decals. Much to my disappointment, because I remember telling you guys when we talked about this kit coming out in December, I was like, ooh, I think there are Marlboro decals in here, because here, check out the placement guide. You'll notice that over the door shield, up on the windshield, and the actual number rallies on the front and the back, trunk, and the hood on itself, not the plates, but the actual things that are mounted to the hood and the trunk there, they have little red blocks, and they have little numbers beside them. And I thought, oh, I bet you there are Marlboro logos for that, and they are just silently not mentioning it. Sort of the way the Silk Cut Jaguar from Hasegawa, when it was reissued a couple years ago, had no Silk Cut logos on the box whatsoever, but the Silk Cut lettering and everything was inside the box. Nay, 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 nay. These are just great big blobs of fluorescent orange decals that look just like this decal layout, where they're squares. Anybody who knows what a package of Marlboros look like, the logo is a V shape, like the paint is on the hood. So you're going to have to go and hopefully Taboo Design, or somebody else is going to do the fill-in decals, because here's a picture of the real car from the real 1984 Safari Rally. You'll notice that there are Marlboro logos over the door, on the roof, on the hood, on the trunk, on the windshield header, above the driver's names, and that has nothing to do with the actual words Marlboro that are on the doors, the hood, and the trunk. So many cigarette logos are missing off of this car to do it correctly. Got to save the children. What children? I should say no, really they're not, because their grandfather mercifully stopped smoking last year. So nobody in their direct contact life smokes anymore. Grandfather was sort of the last one. He's a younger guy. He's in his 50s, so he hopefully got that taken care of before anything really, really bad happens to him. But, they're exposed. They were at times exposed to cigarettes, and they're not trying to smoke. My 15-year-old can't stand people that smoke, God bless her. Throwing a Marlboro logo in this wasn't going to help. It wasn't going to hurt anybody, but it is what it is. It's the reality we live in as far as marketing these things to children, even though I don't know how many 11-year-olds are going to be interested in a 20-year-old Safari rally car, but be that as it may. You have to understand, 1980s, the whole rally was sponsored by Marlboro, the car was sponsored by Marlboro. We're talking about Kenya in the 1980s. It was a Wild Wild West, effectively. You can't sanitize that. It just is what it is. And much like every BMAX kit, this kit comes with its own detail upset. This is a slightly different detail upset than the one that comes with the Nissan-sponsored one that is for the 1983 New Zealand Rally from the first kit. It includes things like the mesh that goes over the headlights and the turn signals. You may have noticed in that picture of the real car we showed you. It has a different brush guard. It's also right-hand drive. For some reason, this car in real life was right-hand drive, so that has also been done, and so it's got a new dashboard piece as well. So that's cool that they, legitimately updated it correctly. It's not a Revell kit where we threw some decals in it and called it something different. This legitimately has a whole bunch of parts added to it. And then they had a new toolkit that just came out as well. I think everybody knows what this is. This is the Volvo 240 Turbo. So very, very cool. They have a new 1980s touring car out there. It's a 2-in-1 kit. You can build either the 86 Kia Race of Macau winner, which is what the box art shows you, or there are also decals in here to do the 1985 Intertech winning car. Now, the Intertech is an endurance race that is done as part of the Japanese Touring Car Championship. It's the last race of the year. It's the International Touring Car Endurance Championship, Intertech. So those decals are in there too. Really, this is a 4-in-1 kit because you can build 2 different versions of the Kamachi car that ran the Gia Race of Macau, and 2 different Volvo dealers of Europe cars that ran the Intertech series. With a little bit of money, if you want to spend the cash, you can go get a BMW 635 CSI Group A car, a Tamiya kit. Again, you're going to have to go secondary market in Japan if you want to buy one of these for a reasonable price. The eBay prices are ridiculous, but you can get them in Japan all day long for like $20. I don't know what it is about them, but they're very out there right now as far as being for sale. Then you go to Studio 27 and get the set of STP decals that were for the 1985 Intertech series, which also ran, by the way, the entire Japanese Touring Car Championship series. And you could effectively build 2 Volvos and a BMW. That will give you the podium for the Intertech series, because it was Volvo, Beamer. And then the BMW car that the Studio 27 decals replicate also won the entire Japanese Touring Car Championship, irony. One of the last times that really that happened, because as the Japanese touring car aged along, the Europeans sort of fell out of running in it, and it became a Japanese-only endurance series, or a touring car series anyway. So, you have a bunch of different display options available for you if you really want to do your research. And much like all BMAX kits, this again comes with its own detail upset, so your photo etch your seatbelts, and has usually these detail upsets for the BMAX modern race cars have like the air intake for the air jacks, and then it has an antenna and things like that. So that's all available and out there for you. Both those kits are available everywhere, not just in Hong Kong, although technically, again speaking, it'll be the prices on these, because they're imported by Aoshima and BMAX as a partnership, are really pretty level with the Hong Kong pricing. Especially if you do a lot of buying at HLJ, where you're shipping over bigger shipments the way I do. The shipping alone from Hong Kong off like a one single kit negates the price value if you're buying a lot of stuff from Japan at the same time. Again, because once Japan's shipping is very high unless you ship a whole bunch of stuff at one time, and then you can make it a pretty low cost per unit kind of deal. And that leaves us with Aoshima stuff for the end of the year. First up is this reissue. It is the Honda City Turbo 2, part of the model car lineup. This was announced, then pulled, then shuffled around as far as the dates go, so we never really talked about it that much. But this is a reissue of an old 1980s motorized kit. They do include all of the parts in here to do the race car. So it has the other set of wheels and all the over fenders and flares and different front end and the turbo hood scoop and all the roll cage and everything like that. No livery to do a race car that I saw, but all of those kits are included sort of bonus options, so if you want to do something with that. Then you have a couple of 1980s milk toast sort of cars here. You have the I'm trying to think what year this Nissan Leopard is. It is a 1986 Nissan Leopard Ultima. This kit gets reissued all the time in the police series, the Dangerous Criminals police series. But this is just a factory stock version of it. The police parts aren't in here. It does come with, I believe, 2 sets of wheels, because all of these cars, for some reason, come with a set of, like, mesh wheels. It is, again, another motorized kit. Origins, not actually motorized in this, but it's got that chassis from the motorized kit. There's a couple of different options as far as steering wheels and things like that go. But pretty much a factory stock car. The other reissue is this, which is the Toyota Mark II from 1988. This is the first time that this kit has had stock wheels in it, so there are new wheels in here. And then pretty much other than that is a reissue of existing GX81s, new decals. This kit does have an engine insert. It is literally the top half of the engine cut in half. The chassis is older Toyota motorized. So it's a very basic chassis, pound the rivets into the wheels and all that sort of thing. But it is the first time this kit has been available in 5 or 6 years. And then you have the brand new tool kits that have just come out at the end of the year. These are the first, again, the reason why these were sort of a big deal to Aoshima, the first JDM cars that were tooled up. All of their tooling money has gone into supercars the last 4 or 5 years. The first new tool Japanese car kits, that they have done since 2013. So they are the Toyota Pro Box, the NCP 160V, because that falls right off the tongue. Technically, the Pro Box is sort of like their also known as that alphanumeric thing is what the cars are actually called, if you want to search for them online. This one is the kit that is going to be in the series. It has the 65 number down there. It is the base model, steel wheels, utilitarian, good shop truck, good taxi, good police car. I think those were probably police cars, but I can see it as a taxi. If it's not a police car, you can make it into one. Everything is black. It's not the bumpers, the door handles, the mirrors are not color keyed to the body or anything else like that. Very baseline, basic car. By the way, there could be a gajillion of these. They're gonna backdate the body to the previous body style, because 2014 is when this body style came into effect. Technically speaking, this is a 2018 one of these as well, but they had to date it as something, so they went to 2014 because that was the beginning of this body style. The whole front end of it is separate, kind of like the old 72 Oldsmobile or 72 Chevy Nova and Pontiac kit that AMT did, where the fenders and everything were separate. Although this builds on a solid core, not onto a wobbly set of inner fenders the way the AMT kit did. So like I said, they're going to do tuner version, or not tuner, but VIP van versions of this. I guarantee you there's some service vehicles involved here somewhere along the line, taxis, police cars, fire vehicles, something along those lines, because if you know Aoshima, they don't do something to make one version of it. And then you have also this, which is the Pro Box Succeed. It's just a higher trim level to the NCP 160V. This has hubcaps rather than the steel wheels. For some reason, the box art is wrong in showing this, but this car in real life has color-keyed bumper inserts, color-keyed mirrors, color-keyed door handles. So more, luxurious. This is more of the car a regular person would own. The other one is more of a, delivery vehicle, something a commercial business would own. This is also a special production run. So this one will not be, constantly in the catalog. So, you don't have to run out and grab one. Oh my God, it's going to go away or anything else like that. But just know that, the kits that have numbers in it, as they enter these new marketing series model car, tune parts, and all that. They're going to stay active. They'll always be reissuing them and things like that. The stuff like this, they have the SPs. They're, they may go away and not come back for a while. But there's no shortage of these right now. They just came out. And I don't know how many people are really looking for a Pro box as far as American builders go. But anyway, guys, that is a really long video, or is a really big video because I'm recording this in high def. But at any rate, that's all we got for you right now. And we'll be back, hopefully, on a more regular schedule here. I keep saying that all through last year. Oh, we'll be back on a regular schedule. It never happened. But, I want to try to really, in 2018, go back to the weekly schedule, because it makes these videos huge and hard to watch, and want to cut them back down to something bite-sized again. So that's where we're at. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope everybody had a good Christmas, a happy New Year, and trying to stay warm this little cold snap. It looks like we're going to be done with this over the weekend and go back into the 40s and the 50s next week. So maybe we have survived the worst part. My fuel oil bill, my electric bill will thank everybody for that. So anyway, see you guys on the other side.